All right. The Brits lost it, boys and girls. All right. All right. I'm mad. I've lost the plot. Welcome to this week's episode of Degenerate Sports Talk. I'm your host, Paul Robinson. As always, I'm joined by my cohorts from across the pond, Mr. Ken Kang, Mr. Jason Huell. Unfortunately, our resident favorite redneck is currently doing something with ice hockey in Miami and is possibly being eaten by gators. So he's just checked in to make sure he's still alive, but we're not quite sure at this particular point. I've got new toys this week. I know the guys can't hear it at the moment, but it's finally happened. I finally figured out how to put a soundboard into OBS Studios. And first things first. Hallelujah! 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 Baseball is back, boys. Me and Gaskins did the reaction podcast when the CBA was finally ratified a couple of nights ago. I've been having a blast with this ever since. I've been living on cloud nine. I know that Jason is probably still hungover. I know Ken's still waking up and hasn't had coffee yet. But baseball's back, boys. And we've already seen the hot stove go from, simmer to boiling over. We've got Kershaw going back to the Dodgers on a one-year deal pending a physical. We've just had breaking news by Jeff Passan on Twitter that the Rangers have traded for... oh God, where's my notes gone? Mitch Garver, Mitch Garver, the catcher, and they've sent shortstop Isaiah Kinfea, I can't remember his last name, to plus a prospect back to the Twins, and that's a hell of a deal for Isaiah because he's a premier very young shortstop that had a decent breakout year last season, and that's a hell of a piece coming back for a defensive-minded catcher in Mitch Garver. I mean, that's a good start for the Rangers. I mean, they've already signed Martin Perez to a $4 million one-year deal after losing out on Kershaw because I know that the Rangers were chasing him as well. Rangers are making some moves already. Good, bad, ugly. What are you guys thinking on this one so far? I mean, we've all just seen it, so...
Well, the Perez signing really is kind of out of need, I guess. Like
they needed another starting pitcher.
Right. Now, granted, his ERA is probably going to be over 4, not touching 5. I mean, inning eater, I guess, maybe. I'm not thrilled about it, but again, what else are you gonna do?
Perez was a highly touted starting pitcher prospect for a very long time. He started his career, I believe, with the Rangers, and then went out and went little stints in Boston, and has obviously come back for on a one-year deal. I mean, he's obviously now a back-end starter, 4 or 5 rotation guy, but as you say, Ken, he's definitely an innings eater. But I think he brings a little bit of the experience to that that clubhouse and that bullpen especially. So it's a good move for them. It's nice to see guys coming off the board very early with regards to this. But the Rangers are already making moves, so they're obviously going to continue where they left off in December when they spent $500 million on 2 players. So far, the Rangers are starting to shape up to be the team to keep an eye out this year straight away. We've got other things like, Nelson Cruz, due to the DH role, has opened up so many opportunities now in the National League. Nelson Cruz is reportedly in negotiations with at least a couple of NL teams, according to sports reporter Tenchi Rodriguez, who what I read this morning. But not just for 41-year-old Nelson Cruz, but this also offers an opportunity to Albert Pujols, who's 21 home runs away from hitting that magic number of 700. According to reports, the Cards, the Mariners, and the Rockies are all interested in giving Pujols a one-year deal. that would be a good signing for any of those teams. Baseball's coming thick and fast now that the floodgates have opened. I mean, these are all really, really good things to be happening right now. Jason, what are your thoughts here?
Dude, I'd love him to go to Colorado if he's trying to get to that 700 home run mark.
It'd be the easiest place for him to do it, I must admit. I mean, that altitude sickness and all that, but it's not the worst place for him to land, I suppose, especially with the DH spot.
I say he goes to St. Louis. Finish your career where you started it. That's what I think. I think if they sign it, I think they will sign it. Put it that way.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, Cards and Pujols have got a great history together. I mean, I think I'm with Ken on this one. I think if it's not the Rockies, it's definitely the Cards. I don't think he goes, and more than likely, he doesn't go anywhere else if he's going to finish out his career with 1 year and chase the magic number of 700. I mean, yeah, Cards would probably be the one place he'd want to do it. But I mean, if it comes down to it, is it going to be about money at this point for Pujols, or is it going to be about the ability to actually hit 21? What do you reckon, Ken?
So I think it depends how much. Obviously, he wants to hit the 21. Money always plays a little bit of a factor in it. I mean, he went out to LA on a really big deal. So, I mean, the Angels before they traded him, but
yeah,
or released him at that. But man, I think it's going to be how much guaranteed playing time can he get? Like you said, can he actually feasibly get to that point?
Yeah.
Cardinals have a young team. Goldie is a lot between him and
Albert.
the Pujols at first, essentially.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not sure where their other backup plans are at this point, for backing up Goldie at first. But, those are essentially the two DH prospects on that team that I can think of off the top of my head. So,
yeah.
I mean, it's there. And Coors, man, they just have a quite a bit of young players. So DH really is a round robin up there, I think.
Yeah, not only that, but the thing is, a Pujols type player in a very young clubhouse like the Rockies, especially for me, because Rockies is one of the teams that I do tend to follow a little bit because they've got some really good young staff, very young prospects that are coming through that I like the look of, like Colton Welker, and I was a fan of McMahon before he broke out. I mean, the Rockies have got a very young core. Bringing a guy like Pujols and the experience that Pujols has into that clubhouse would bring that team along leaps and bounds, and you could see them maybe pushing for one of the wild card spots in the NL. I mean, plenty of opportunities for him. I mean, the Universal DH now offers, like, the guys like Nelson Cruz, the guys like Albert Pujols, a lot of options now, because teams are going to be like, okay, well, we've got this spot to fill. Let's go and find ourselves a decent hitter. And this is exactly what's been going on straight away. So, Jace, I mean, what do you think? I mean, other than the Rockies, it's not a bad fit back in the Cards.
No, 100%. Like, him finishing his career there would be pretty cool.
Yeah, fair enough. All right, obviously we've touched on the trade with the Rangers and obviously the moves that they've made this week, but obviously a couple of the big ones that have gone off the board straight away. Kershaw to the Dodgers for a 1 year deal. There's no details have been disclosed yet. It's pending a physical. Now, obviously with Kershaw's many injury-riddled seasons, I still think he pulls in $19 to $23 million for a contract this year. With the way things like Noah Syndergaard got snapped up for in LA, the way that Max Scherzer's got his massive 3 year deal with the Mets. Kershaw's a known brand with LA. He could be their, he could be their Sandy Koufax. Let's face it, and he could be. There were rumors kicking around before the lockout that the Rangers were seriously interested in seriously chasing him. It's one of those things where we see how his physical goes, we see what the numbers are once it's released, but him going back to LA, is he the ace on that staff for you guys? I mean, I don't. For me, there are a couple of other pitchers that, especially Walker Buehler, I mean, for me would be the top of their rotation on opening day. Has he, unfortunately gone, down the pecking order slightly, maybe to an SP2, SP3? Jason, what do you think?
Yeah, I think Bueller's now their number one. So I think he's fighting for that 2 or 3 spot. because they also have the kid with the crazy hair whose name eludes me.
Mays.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah.
You got what's it?
Uraeus.
Uraeus. Yeah,
Uraeus.
as well. So I say he's vying for the 3 or 4, possibly even 5 slot.
We are talking about a pretty much a confirmed first ballot Hall of Famer here, and we're talking about him like he's he's no longer the ace of the staff. I mean, that would have been unheard of 3 years ago. I mean, he's what, 32, 33 years? I don't think he's in his early 30s.
Yeah, but injuries have really pulled him back. I mean, he's being looked at like a late 30s type guy now with the injury.
With the injury history, yeah.
With the constant injury history, yeah.
Yeah, fair enough. But yeah, but I mean, did he get a ring last year when the Dodgers won? I don't think he did he?
Well,
oh no, sorry. When the Braves, sorry,
on the roster.
Yeah. This is when they won.
Roster,
yeah, when they won the year before. Sorry, it was the Braves that won it last year. My apologies. So I'm getting my years mixed up. I'm very excited about baseball being back. I don't know if you guys watched the reaction cast me and the Redneck did on the other day when it came out, but yes, I've had this level of excitement for the last few days, and I'm very, very, very happy we've got baseball back because I've finally got something I can talk about properly. But there you go. All right, we're going to stick with the Dodgers as well because reports coming out today and have been for the last few hours and into yesterday as well that they are making a major, major push for Freddie Freeman. Now, me and Gaskins were talking about this again on the reaction cast, and we should all just go and kill the sport of baseball if this happens. If he goes to one of the evil two, it's a bad move. It's a bad move for Freeman. It's a bad move in general. I don't like him going out to the West Coast. I think the Braves need to finally step up and go, you know what? This is our franchise guy. This is the guy that has been here before the Acuñas and the Albies, and this is the guy that's going to lead us to another World Series. You get Freddie Freeman back, the Braves are the perennial #1 seed. It's as simple as that. But they have to now think about ponying up because now that the Dodgers are in play, the Yankees are still kicking around. There's dark horse rumors about the Mets wanting to take a swing at him. And let's face it, if Steve Cohen decides he wants to take a swing, he will because he's got the money for it. Personally, the Braves, I think, are making a major mistake by allowing this to continue. They need to lock up Freddie Freeman if they're going to do it, and they need to do it within the next 24 to 36 hours, or he's going to end up on one of the evil two. And we should all just go and kill ourselves. Thoughts? Because I know me and Gaskins touched on this. Gaskins is not going to be happy at all if he goes for either side. What do you guys think? Come on.
Jason?
I think he's going to go with the money and go to the Dodgers. I mean, especially with them having their issues with Bellinger, kind of falling off from the MVP level. So, and I think the Braves are more economically sensible. So the deal he's going to get, first year would be great, but like the second or third year, it's going to start to hurt him. So
here's the thing though, with the DH rule now in effect, in the National League, you don't necessarily. I had the same conversation with Gaskins. If his defense was to decline at the back end of the contract, which is going to be the first thing that is more than likely to go with a first baseman that's faster heading into his mid to late 30s, is the defense, right? You rest him in the DH spot. It's there. You use it, and you pay the franchise tag the money he wants.
But what about your issues with Miggy? Because Miggy's DH.
Yeah, here's the thing though. But Miggy's was a massively overloaded contract. This is what it could be described as a very almost team-friendly contract at 180 over 6. I mean, quite honestly, we're paying almost as much for Javier Baez, and he's nowhere near as good as Freddie Freeman, regardless of what position he plays. At the end of the day, Miggy's contract was a contract of, I don't want to say guilt because guilt's not the right word. It was the last of the Mike Ilitch. Thank you. You've been an amazing player. Now I want to reward you for your service time that you've had here and make sure you're seen off into your. Miggy's collecting a pension. I've said it before. I'll keep saying it until he retires. He's currently got 2 years left. We're paying him $60 million. Yes, he's a DH, but he does still play first base. And when he does, it's horrible. Won't lie to you, but This is why he plays DH, because when he's on, he's on. But he has, because of his, again, he's a lot like Miggy. For me, is a lot like Kershaw. Injuries have killed him in the back end of this contract. And we as Detroit fans, as Tigers fans, as me especially, I see it every spring training, regardless of who's reporting, if it's the free press or if it's international media or national media. Miggy's in the best shape of his life. He's clearly been eating 200 cheeseburgers in the off season. It's just not it. If Miggy was to put his actual mind to it, right, lose about 30 pounds, refine the swing so it's a little bit smoother, Miggy will be back to the Miggy of old. I love Miguel Cabrera. I always will do. But the back end of this deal, we always knew was going to kill us, but we never expected it to hurt as bad as it did, considering the player that he was. So for me, the universal DH thing is a factor that should be brought into certain negotiations now with the likes of Freddie Freeman with the back end deals, with the likes of Carlos Correa, because again, he'll be another one that the back issues have persisted throughout his career. They may flare up again. He's been clear for 18 months, 2 years now. These are the types of players that are defined for this universal DH spot, regardless of which league they're in now. So it's kind of one of them. You pay the piper at this point. Freddie Freeman for the Braves is a franchise tag player. You've got Acuna locked up, you've got Albies locked up, and they're on really good team-friendly contracts. Spend the money on Freeman and solidify that middle of the lineup and get your hitters. And Freeman is still the best first baseman in the league, regardless. If not in your opinions, then at least the top three. Am I wrong, Ken?
So, I mean,
come on, I'm not wrong.
Potentially a top 10. No, and actually, you're both right. I don't see it happening, but he should stay as a Brave. The Braves need to lock him up. Now, do I believe they will? No.
Yeah.
I believe he goes to LA. I mean, I think LA's pushing more for it than the Yankees are going to the AL, even though everything's basically the same. His defense is solid. That's the first to fall off. So you can always move him DH, like you said, or whatnot. But LA seems to be, yes, they have a few young guys, but essentially a lot of the stars want to go out to California. They want to be in the sun. They just want to chill.
Yeah, it's the West Coast super team.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
And I mean, I don't think as a fan, I would like to see him stay with Atlanta, but I don't see it happening.
See, I'm with you. I'd love to see him stay a lifelong Brave. I really would. I would love, I mean, just for the sake of watching Gaskins' reaction to the news that he re-signs with the Atlanta. But what do I know? All right, so we're going to stick on the West Coast because the San Francisco Giants and Carlos Rodon, one of the the breakout aces of last season, formerly of the Chicago White Sox, $44 million over 2 years with an opt-out, which I found surprising after the first year. I got to be honest with you, that's a great deal for San Francisco. They've got Logan Webb, who's again another breakout candidate for them. Possibly their perennial ace this year. But I think Rodon is, if he can sustain the command and the ability that he's shown and in the progress that he'd shown after having several injury-riddled seasons himself, I think he becomes the number one. I think he's an opening day starter for San Francisco there. I think Logan Webb might get pushed into the number 2 spot. And as good as Logan Webb is, I think Rodon's got a slightly higher ceiling. That's my personal opinion. I've been a massive fan of Rodon for years. And I think it's a great deal for him. I think it's about the right amount of numbers for him. I mean, at worst, if he has a slightly offer season this season and then comes back next year and re-ups with the Giants and they compete, I tell you what, that's a dark horse team to watch this year. That piece alone makes them somebody to watch for me. I mean, guys, what do you think? I mean, Jason, I know that we've been telling you to keep an eye on like White Sox players and former players and whatever else. Any thoughts on Rodon and the Giants?
I like it because their analytics guys from the Giants all came from the Dodgers. and has that Tampa Bay tie too.
Yeah.
So I think I think he's definitely someone to keep an eye on, because if they're looking at the analytics that deeply, he'll be a stud there.
Yeah. No, I think you're right. Ken, what are your thoughts on this deal?
Oh yeah, and I think the ballpark is more pitcher friendly than
Yeah.
it was in Chicago as well. So that's only going to help him.
Yeah.
He had a few injury concerns as well throughout his short career so far. So that's always a concern. But I mean, depends what other things the Dodgers can do. Can they re-sign KB? You know, um, that's going to be a big deal. What they can do at third or with KB, and some of their other little pieces. I mean, what are they going to be able to do?
Yeah.
Because pitching can only do so much.
This is very true. I mean, you touched on trying to re-sign Chris Bryant, and I mean, if that would be the smart move for both parties at this point, because I haven't seen a lot since obviously the league and the Players Association ratified the new CBA a couple of nights ago. I mean, the big talk's been about Correa, the big talk's been about Kershaw, obviously Rodon signing, and all the other smaller guys signing and everything else. But obviously the biggest pieces obviously going at the moment being talked about Freeman are Correa, Rizzo a little bit as well with regards to the Cubs. I mean, there's still a lot of hot stove action happening currently. I mean, my Twitter feed's still buzzing at me on my phone whilst we're recording now, so I'm hoping we're not missing anything while we're doing this. But I mean, there are a couple of days before spring training games actually start. We're a little under 3 weeks away from the start of the season. We're going to find things happening thick and fast now. I mean, it's going to be a hell of a few weeks for us, especially trying to keep track of all this, as well as trying to keep track of all the NFL stuff that we've got to talk about later on in the show. So,
Breaking.
We got breaking news, boys and girls. What do you got?
Yes, the Yankees got Freddie Freeman.
Say what?
Just kidding.
Oh, dude, that's not funny. Don't do it to me. That's not fair. Gaskins will throw a fit. Dude, the blood pressure in me went. So yeah. So
no,
you know what?
Giggity, giggity, giggity.
But yeah, not a reliable source. So.
No, not a reliable source. So there you go. But we've always known that the Yankees were in with a shot for Freeman anyway. It'll all come down between the evil two. Me personally, if he doesn't re-sign with the Braves, I'd love to see him go to the Mets. I really would, because there's a spot there for him. Pete Alonso. I mean,
No, that's not happening.
Cohen's got the money to throw around and do it. Why wouldn't he? You've got Nelson Cruz because he's you got a perennial first base, Gold Glove winning first baseman who can hit like a crazy person. Why wouldn't you want him on your team, regardless of whether or not you play him at first base or DH? I'm just saying.
So
I mean,
you're gonna put Alonso already at a DH? He's not even that. He has a more of a career to go.
Yeah,
like that's cutting his career short essentially.
You can.
Yes, he can.
You can literally just interchange them between the first base DH. A couple of days on, a couple of days off. It's rest and relax, and that extends careers.
I don't like it at all.
Steve Cohen would be crazy enough to do it as well. And they've got a whole new front office in there, whole new management in there as well. But seriously, if I'm Cohen, I mean, bearing in mind that Cohen basically had a couple of fingers thrown at him, a couple of the birds by most of the owners with this new CBA, with the new tier to the CBT. That was a direct, literally, screw you to Steve Cohen and the Mets. Why wouldn't you just say, you know what, if you're going to throw a new tier at me, I don't care. I'm the richest owner in baseball. I'm going to do what I want to do, and I'm going to go win a championship. And that's it's his hometown club. He's got the money. He can outspend anybody 3 times over in the league. And the best thing about it is he has zero to give about annoying any of the other owners. And trust me,
why hasn't he done so already?
Mostly because of the GM's airing caution. Also, if he decides to start doing what Manchester City did in the Premier League, it sets a precedent where he can be held hostage in real negotiations. If it comes down to a case of the Yankees, for instance, with Freeman, right? The Yankees and the Dodgers, they both offer the same amount of money. Cohen can say, okay, screw this. I'll go $2 million higher. and I'll add on a couple of bonuses. Come to New York, but come to the right side of New York. Don't go to the West Coast. Don't go to that part. Don't go to the Bronx. Come here. That's what I mean. He's crazy enough to be able to do it. And let's face it, it's his boyhood club. I mean, literally, Steve Cohen for me is literally the equivalent of me owning Aston Villa or the Detroit Tigers. Seriously, if I had that kind of insane kinds of money, these are the types of things I would be doing. Especially if I gave zero monkeys and the league had already thrown me a screw you bone during the current CBA, deal anyway. So why not? Seriously, I'm not.
Don't you have other holes to fill? I mean, didn't just go to LA?
Dollar. He don't care. He's got the money. He throw that out. Dude, seriously, the dude could throw out money like he's throwing dollars out of the strip joint. I'm just saying. But there you go. All right. We're going to take a quick break. We'll be right back. We're going to get into the NFL stuff, and Jason's got some stuff to talk to us. Then we'll get on to our Muppet of the Week. And all I'm going to say is this, boys.
Giggity, giggity, giggity.
All right, we'll be back. Welcome back to this week's episode of Degenerate Sports Talk. I'm Paul, that's Ken, that's Jason. We've had some fun talking about baseball in the first half. We're going to switch gears a little bit, and we're going to switch to the NFL because this week has been not only been a busy week with the MLB, but the NFL has seen some seriously weird and large trades and a very big contract extension for everybody's favorite cheesehead over up in the corner. We'll get with that first. Aaron Rodgers. 4 years, $200 million deal to remain in Green Bay with $154 million guaranteed. I have a question, Ken. What the freaking hell were you thinking in Green Bay? Why in the hell would you want this weirdo back when you've got a decent QB that you drafted to replace him waiting in the wings? Don't say
four-time MVP. Four-time MVP.
One time, okay, he's got the same amount of Super Bowl wins as Matt Stafford. Just saying.
Very true.
And when you're labeled with that tool,
because we have a very limited window right now, with the likes of Adams, who we franchise.
Yeah, you franchise tagged.
We have a few other players that are in their prime to twilight that. We got to do it with them. Bakhtiari at left tackle. We trust in our defense. Yes, there's some cap signings that we got to figure out and we got to make happen.
Yeah.
On the defense side especially. I mean, so it has to be done. But the belief in Green Bay is we're that close. We have to get over the hump. And yeah, that's through a lot of teams. But Green Bay is perennial 13-3.
Hey, listen.
They got a hump to get over.
They've got that hump to get over.
I do want to point out one quick thing.
Oh, go on.
You're throwing out like how crazy a 25 if he plays all 4 years, the $25 million a year is. I just want to say, Rondon in baseball can make $22 million in a year, and we're not batting an eye.
It's $50 million. It's
four-time MVP.
Yeah, but you're looking at $50 million a year. But even if the 154 is guaranteed over the 4-year period, I mean, he's got the ability to actually earn $200 million over 4 years. That's not only is that an insane amount of money, but that squeezes the Packers cap space to a degree where, don't take this the wrong way, but you could end up looking like the Lions in 3 years. With, literally having to tear the studs back down to the studs and starting from scratch. And I do mean that legitimately. You have put yourself in a position where you could be terrible for 10 years. Possibly longer if you're not careful.
And you're not wrong. Because I have no faith in Love. Love needs to go.
I would like to, I would throw a third-round draft pick at you from the Lions for Love because, quite frankly, I think he's a decent quarterback. I think he could replace a Goff or even a Wentz in particular. I do genuinely think he could be, with the right team, the right scheme, and quite frankly, the right amount of belief. He's never been highly thought of in Green Bay because of the way Rodgers treated him from the get-go. All of it stems from the fact that Rodgers did not like the fact that they drafted a quarterback in a draft to replace him. That's why he threw his toys out the pram the first time. That's why he threw his toys out the pram half the way through this season as well. It all boils down to the fact that Love has never had an opportunity. And
What did he do in KC?
Dude, seriously, he was thrown into the Shark Tank in Casey. Don't even try that with me. He was literally, Rodgers decided to do what he did with that game. Love was thrown into the Shark Tank and was eaten alive, legitimately, right? But the fact of the matter is, the Packers have never shown any faith in him whatsoever since they drafted him. Why the hell did they draft the kid? He could have gone to any other team.
I don't know that. I would not have drafted Love in the first round. If you have any plans for Rodgers.
Well, this is it.
And they showed right there. So if you're going to commit to Rodgers for another 4 years,
you need to trade Jordan Love. Get something for him.
Full agreement there.
You have to give this kid an opportunity to go to a team and say, you know what, you didn't want me, screw you. I'm going to come out and prove you wrong, because this is the kind of mentality he had at college ball, and he was perennial. He was talked about in the top as a top 5 pick at one stage. We're talking, we're talking about a franchise type quarterback that you can build your franchise around. This is what Jordan Love was. Now he's a shell of a man. It's as simple as that. This all stems from Rodgers' inability to make a decision properly that affects both him and the Packers, and it's until this particular point that he's got his big ass deal that makes. Does it make him the highest paid player in football? I think it does.
I believe so. Yes.
Yeah, and that's all he was after. He wasn't. He doesn't care now. He's got the marker highest paid player in professional football. Kudos to you, Mr. Rodgers. Kudos. Let's see you do something with it. I challenge you to actually go out and do something that Matt Stafford will probably do one more time than you do. And I hate saying that out loud because I cannot stand Matt Stafford. Stafford wins a Super Bowl before Rodgers does, because he'll choke in the playoffs again next year. Simple as that. But Jason, come on. My vitriol aside, what are your thoughts?
One, I guess I want to ask Ken, how many of the 4 years do you think he plays? Because I'd place mine too.
Most likely, yeah. But I still don't see sitting Love. Love has already sat, what, 3 years?
This will be year 3.
This will be year 3. So he'll sit for 4 years? I mean, and then you're in a spot where you need to re-sign Love for what? Unproven backup quarterback that you don't know what he can do?
You need to trade him.
I'm in agreement. Like, that's one question that I have with the brass. Now, I do have more faith in the brass than I have the Lions brass about rebuilding. When they get to that point, when Rodgers retires and goes on, Green Bay they have better history, better everything than Detroit. I'm just.
Well, I got to be honest with you. If it comes down to it, and they do end up having to pull the studs up like they have done with the Lions with Brad Holmes and with Dan Campbell, who are doing it in the right way for me for the first time in probably Lions history, and quite frankly, I'm probably going to be out on my own on that particular limb, and I don't care because I do think that they're doing a good job. But if they do it, I do think that the Green Bay Packers could probably do it quicker. But they also, if they're going to start planning for that now, they need to get something back for Jordan Love. They may need to start thinking about getting rid of some of the older type players within the next 2 years, if at all. If not, they're going to be in draft hell and possibly cap hell for what, 4 years? Jason?
Yeah, I would say probably, because to me, they're looking at the division and going, Lions are doing a rebuild, so they're 2
years, maybe 3 at least. Yeah.
Chicago is doing a rebuild as well with Fields. They're building.
Yeah.
They're going to lose Allen. They traded Khalil Mack.
Yep.
And then Minnesota right now,
the Vikings are
like $45 million or something. So
the Vikings are a dumpster fire. The Vikings are a dumpster fire. I will say this, as a Lions fan personally, the fact that he's re-signed with Green Bay made the Lions the upcoming draft, a hell of a lot easier. There's been talks about maybe taking a QB at the back end of the first round, maybe early in the second round. all that now has gone completely out the window because, quite frankly, you build your defense, you build your O-lines, you build your defense, and you spend some money in the cap that's going to keep you going. Look at next year's draft for a quarterback, because there's going to be a hell of a lot more pickings from a top end quarterbacks way than you are going to see in this year's draft. I mean, it was always dicey taking. It was always going to be a dicey idea taking the QB this year anyway for me. But now, the fact that Rodgers is back in Green Bay, it's okay, because if he'd have gone to Tennessee or if he'd have gone somewhere else and he'd come out of the division, I would have thought, you know what, maybe just maybe the Lions squeak in and maybe make a push for the playoffs at the very least. Now it's kind of like, you know what, we'll just sit back, let you guys implode, do what you do. We're just going to continue doing what we're doing, and that's build, put the building blocks in place, put the foundations in place, and then we're going to come out screaming either next year or the year after and just start owning people, because that's the mentality that's being bred in Detroit right now. And you will see Detroit versus everybody either next year or the year after, and I'm looking forward to it. So I will say this, thank you Green Bay. You tied up a douchebag for 4 more years, you paid him an insane amount of money. More power to you. You can kiss his colonics goodbye or whatever all over your locker room. Enjoy. Anyway, right, we're going to get on to other things in the NFL. As Jason's touched on, is it the Bears or the Browns? Khalil Mack.
Bears traded him to the Chargers.
Yeah, to the Chargers. I didn't see this particular trade, so you're going to have to brief me on this one. I saw the others, but I didn't see this one. So, Jace, take it away, mate.
For a 2022 second round pick and a 2023 sixth round pick. So they're doing it mainly because the Chargers are trying to pair him up with Bosa and have that elite defensive end, especially with the quarterback's row that's coming out in the AFC West. Yeah,
no, to be honest with you, that's not a bad little deal for the Chargers. They didn't overpay for him by the looks of things, and a second and a sixth, that's not. I gotta be honest with you, that seems like pennies on the dollar for a guy like Mac. So that's I like that. Ken, your thoughts on this one?
I mean, first off, I'm happy to see him out of Chicago because when he was healthy, he ate our tackles up. He did. He's a beast. Yeah. He's had so many injuries recently. Now, I think he'll be more motivated as well coming out to LA there to go ahead and play with the Chargers than he ever was in Chicago, because Chicago, he played strong at the beginning, first couple games. Then I don't think there was any hurry to come back from injury because your team sucked.
Yeah. I mean, they've also got rid of a lot of talent in the last 12 months as well. So I mean, it's right. One of those things. So I mean, it's a good deal for the Chargers. They didn't overpay. Matt goes to somewhere where he's going to be possibly a little bit more appreciated. Let's face it, and hopefully he does well out there. One of the big ones this week was Carson Wentz to the Cobra Commanders. Carson Wentz trade was I saw this and I was like, are you for real? Washington Cobra Commanders decided to pay that much for Carson Wentz. Now, I like Carson Wentz, but I don't think he's worth that amount of picks. I really don't. Jason, break down the deal for me, because I thought this was insane.
Okay, so the main thing is for the Carson Wentz trade is Washington's paying the whole cap, 28.3. So they're taking the whole hit.
To be fair, Washington do have cap to spare, do they not?
And they got the number 47th pick, but they gave up the 42nd pick. They gave up a third and a seventh. And then in 2023, they gave a third that can go to a second if Wentz plays 70% of the snaps. So basically, if he stays a starter and doesn't get hurt, they'll move up to a second.
So obviously, with the injury concerns with Wentz, there's a small possibility he'd maybe just come underneath that. But I mean, that's a gamble, but not a massive one. I mean, there's no real difference between second and third at this point. So, but I mean, like I say, I thought personally for a guy like Carson Wentz, I think Washington majorly they got Alavilad. That's what happened there. They got Alavilad. They got scammed and fleeced. That's an insane. I mean, the cap hit alone. I mean, I know they've got cap to play with, but damn, tackle that on with the picks. For me, that was just a massive overpay. Ken?
No, I agree. That it it's laughable to me. It just really is. Like Wentz, he's always showed some flashes.
Yeah,
I'll give him that much. But
the talent's
man,
there. It's
one,
just whether
he
or not.
can't stay healthy. He can't stay healthy. And two, I have no faith as a leader of him. Like I
There.
don't see him as a leader at all.
Yeah.
As a quarterback needs to be, especially of the offense, if not the entire team.
Fair enough. No, absolutely. I think we've just coined a phrase here on the show as well for the first time since we started this. You got Alaviled. I like that. I think we should use that a lot. I know you guys get a chuckle out of me bagging on the Tigers, but I mean seriously. Actually, I have something to talk about with regards to Alavila at some point in a minute as well. So, but we'll move on from Wentz when the overpay from the Washington Commanders. God, that name is horrible. Cobra Commanders. Russell Wilson traded to Denver. Jason, again, this is one that was late in the week for me, so I didn't see all of the details. Break it down for me, buddy.
All right. So he went to Denver, and they gave up a 4th-round pick. But Denver gets 2 first, 2 second, a 5th-round pick, Drew Lock, Noah Fant, who I was super excited when Russell Wilson was traded to Denver because I was, oh my God, Noah Fant is going to light it up. Nope.
It goes back the other.
And Shelby Harris, who had 6 sacks for Denver and led them in sacks.
That seems like a hell of a lot for Russell Wilson.
Well, Russell Wilson's been the Pro Bowl, what, 8 of 9 years? Like, he's got history. And Denver really was looking at needing a quarterback. They've got stud, like, young wide receivers. They have a good defense. It's a top 10 points scoring defense.
Yeah.
So they were looking at it and go, we want to try to win now.
For me, this looked like a hell of a lot, one of those, those Texas Hold'em all-in kind of moments for Denver, and that's how I read that whole situation. It was kind of like, again, much in the way that Washington got Alavila, these guys decided we're not getting Alavila, we're just going to go all in and just bet big and pray for a Super Bowl. And don't get me wrong, it's the bit that surprised me, and much like in the same way as you, was the Noah Fant bit. I thought if they kept hold of Noah Fant, that was a hell of a team in Denver to keep an eye on, and especially, I mean, that nice little interchange there, that would have been very, very interesting to see. It's a shame he went back to Seattle, but that was the surprising addition to that deal. That was like maybe just a little bit too much for me, but I mean, that's me personally. But I mean, Ken, your thoughts on this one as well?
No, I'm in agreement. Again, with both of you guys.
I'm having a great week.
Well, we're talking aside from Detroit football. We're talking football, so I mean, it's a little easier to agree with you. But Noah Fant, man, poor guy. Like, unless we get a different quarterback up in Seattle, man, you got luck again, or not luck.
Yeah.
Wrong vowel there. But
do you see? Here's the thought though. I mean, are Seattle done? Do they go after and find themselves a quarterback themselves? That's the question I was going to ask here, because
See, I'm against Watson or
Sean Watson.
Deshaun, yeah.
Well, I mean, we're going to get to Deshaun. We're going to talk about Deshaun in a second, but I mean, he's not the only quarterback out there that could possibly be either on the trade market. I mean, Jordan Love now seemingly might have some interest. I mean, would he be a candidate? I mean, if anybody ever needed a change of address right now, I mean, Jordan Love is, and you slot him into that with the talent that kid's got. Seattle could get very interesting in a freaking hurry. I mean, they've got a decent core. They've just added a hell of a lot of picks and fun tokens and talent. You whack in, you throw one of those picks at Green Bay for Love and basically take it or leave it, because we all know that Green Bay aren't going to end up using him for at least another 2 years, and they're not going to franchise tag him, not if he doesn't play. Jordan Love would be somebody I would look at.
Seattle is too much in the rebuild. They let Wagner go.
Yeah.
And with all the picks they have, I think they're going to try to build in the draft. letting those vet guys go and letting Wilson go, while you got a haul for him,
Yeah, but this is a franchise that could
I'm a
turn
little
around.
confused.
This
I'm
is
a little confused what Seattle's doing.
but with the pieces they've grabbed and the fun tokens that they've now got in the Wilson trade, that is a franchise that could turn on a dime and could be playoff contenders at the very earliest of next season if they get a quarterback. I mean,
Yes.
so
Yes,
I mean,
potentially.
I
Now,
mean,
your defense has to stay healthy. Adams has
true.
to stay healthy.
Yeah,
you got
that's
rid
a
of Wagner, so
yeah.
the linebackers, what you got.
Yeah.
Your running backs have to stay healthy if you're in Seattle. That's been their Achilles heel. They're down to the fourth or fifth running backs every season.
Yeah, no, I mean the running backs have been a major issue with the Seahawks anyway for a while. We all know that, so it is going to be very interesting to see how that shakes out. I mean, there's the possibility of Jordan Love maybe being available on the trade market. Deshaun Watson, who hasn't had criminal charges filed against him, who still currently faces civil suits, could very well be traded or be picked up by Seattle themselves if they're not interested in somebody else. I mean, we all thought maybe Watson may go to Washington. There were rumors a couple of weeks ago that, scumbag organization, possible scumbag player, match made in, scumbag hell. But the rumors are going to Seattle. Jason, you brought this up to us in pre-show. I mean, run us through it, bud.
So he, the jury indictment, he passed. He pleaded the fifth the whole time.
Yeah.
Just going to civil suit, so he will play. And that could have been his career, but he will play. So realistically, Seattle, I'd be very curious to see if Philly claims him with Hurts, but I could also see Philly doing something and move Jalen Hurts somewhere.
Yeah,
I mean, that would be interesting. So those guys have the draft picks. Miami's saying they're sticking with Tua. So realistically, there's only two.
I really wanted Tua in Detroit, man.
And for Tua, but no, right now Seattle has it. They're looking at going, okay, Russell Wilson, we stayed playoff caliber, so we go 7 years younger and go Watson, even though he was off all last year. They're looking at going, we can get back. And
personal feelings aside, the guy's still one of the best quarterbacks in the league. I mean, at the end of the day, I mean, it's Deshaun Watson. He's the talent's there. Yes, he's got some seriously dodgy life choices that he's made, but I mean, on the field, I mean, we're also talking about a league that doesn't care about this stuff. It's one of those dirty open secrets that the league just doesn't give a monkeys. If you can play, we'll pay you and you will play. It's always been that way, and until the league decides to do something, the Major League Baseball has gotten right over the years with suspensions on certain things, especially with domestic abuse and stuff like that. I mean, with serious charges like that, one thing that Major League Baseball has done well that the NFL maybe hasn't done so well at is investigating these types of allegations and doling out the proportionate response of suspensions and penalties for said actions. And the NFL could take as much as I've bagged on the NFL over the years, and as much as I bag on the MLB for getting stuff wrong, especially with regards to the CBAs recently, they have done certain things right, and this is one of them. I would like to see personally the NFL maybe adopt some of the slightly stronger penalties towards players with regards to domestic abuse and stuff like that, because quite frankly, there's no need for it. You're a weak individual if you've proven to have actually committed said heinous crimes. And honestly, with Deshaun Watson, my personal feelings aside for the player himself, the talent there. I mean, he changes the face of a franchise talent wise. He goes to a contender. You guaranteed he's a top seed in the playoffs. He's got that type of talent about him with that, and it's really annoying when you see that those types of talent do the stupidest of stupid things and just make life difficult for themselves and make some really heinous stupid life choices. But whatever. We go from one potential scumbag to one actual scumbag this week. It was announced that the MLB and the MLBPA have extended Mr. Bauer's suspension pending the completion of an investigation into allegations made against him. Obviously, during the lockout, there were no criminal charges filed, and there doesn't look likely to be from the LA County DA. But MLB's investigation is still ongoing, and he's now obviously the league and the Players Association have agreed to keep him on administrative leave until I think March 19th. I read it might be a little bit longer than that. Obviously, with the same thing with Deshaun Watson, really, with the criminal charges not being filed and MLB's investigation is still ongoing. Do you think Bauer sees a mound this year, and does he see it with the Dodgers, boys? Ken, you first.
I mean, yeah, I do. And mid-season ish, maybe, because he hasn't pitched in so long.
Yeah.
But yeah, and I see him with the Dodgers. I just don't think. I think MLB would want him out there, regardless of they'll just hang their hats behind no criminal charges, and just go with it.
Yeah.
Essentially, he's been without baseball for a while, so he's sort of been suspended already. Even if he may have gained a paycheck, he hasn't been allowed on the field due to their investigation.
I was under the impression he was suspended without pay, but I might be wrong on that one.
I'm not.
I'm pretty sure he's currently suspended without pay, as far as I'm aware. But I'd have to double check that to fact check. I will fact check, and if I'm wrong, I will throw out a quick announcement with the videos. But I do know this. I personally, and I don't like Bauer at all. I think this has been a long time coming with these antics on and off the diamond. I think he's a scumbag. I've always said that. He's he throws tantrums for the sake of throwing tantrums. The reason, the whole throwing the ball out of out to center field after being taken out of the game was the straw that broke the camel's back for me anyway. It just, you don't do that. You don't show up your manager. I mean, I'm all about letting kids play. I'm all about, bat flips and, pitches, giving it the big I am and going, and all that when they've struck somebody out, especially closers and stuff like that. I'm all about that. Throwing unprofessional tantrums and being a complete and utter jackass in the way that Trevor Bauer is, personally, I really, really hope that they keep extending his administrative leave and he gets the message, just retire. Please, I'm begging you, much in the same way I begged Miguel Cabrera to retire, because quite honestly, he needs to. Call it a day. You've earned your money. Miggy is earned his money. Yes, he's claimed his paycheck. Miggy just needs to retire just so he doesn't tarnish his reputation any more than he already has done. But Bauer needs to retire and go away and just slink into underneath the rock that you out of in the original instance. Personally, you really are bad for the sport, and quite frankly, I would rather spend more time talking about the Acunas, the Albies, the Freddie Freemans, the prospects coming, the Oscar Colases, the young guys that have actually got professionalism about their game. That's what I want to talk about, not people like Trevor Bauer. Jason, you're nodding your head in agreement. Say something.
Dude, I'm just kind of curious to see if the Dodgers will bring him back.
I would like to.
The way they kind of cut him off from the whole team, and several of the players were kind of vocal a little bit that they didn't want to talk about him, didn't like him.
Yeah.
I'm very curious to see.
My issue with that, the issue with the whole Bauer situation is the fact that he opted back into his contract. Obviously, he went for that major market contract that the Max Scherzer surpassed, and he tried to make comments about that, and it was stupid. Him and his agent. But I mean, obviously, he opted back into his into the second year of that deal. The Dodgers obviously have cut all ties. Now, my thing is it's not just about the players for the Dodgers who, yes, there have been some vocal ones out there that don't want him back. The question is, can the Dodgers, who have been known over the years to be a little bit cover-up-y, They tend to sweep things under the rug every here and there. They have a history of this. But is there any language in the contract? Was there a morality clause in there? Was there something of that ilk that would allow the Dodgers to say, you know what, you just too much of a. Not only are you a PR nightmare, but half the staff don't want to deal with you. Go and do one. And if there is that language in the contract, why haven't they enacted it yet? Those are questions I would like to see answered. That's me personally, but there you go. We're going to move on to our last segment of the week, and obviously we always finish with our favourite Muppet of the week. And this week we've got 3 nominations, one from each of us, and these all came together very last minute. I'm going to let Ken go first because he brought the latest one, which I find a little bit unnerving, and to be honest with you, I think a little bit money shaming from Ken. But I'm going to hold my judgment for a second. So Ken, take the floor.
Hold on, let me find it again, and my phone just went berserk. Basically, one of the FSU cornerback, who apparently he was ranked fairly high in high school. Now,
it's a 4-star recruit. 4-star
recruit in high school, yes, sir. His name is anyways. So he has no offers for the NIL money, essentially. Well, then I read a little further. He has an offer that's there, but he hasn't met the minimum requirements.
Yeah, we're talking about.
And so he's thinking of sitting out, and basically.
We're currently talking about FSU defensive end. Mr. Brownlee, Jarvis Brownlee, I believe his name is. Jarvis Brownlee. There we go.
And it's a corner. He's a corner.
Yeah.
For FSU, or wants to be. Jarvis Brownlee. You're right. I found it.
Yeah.
Where I mentioned it earlier.
So I pulled it up. It's fine.
But I mean, come on, kid. First off, you got to prove yourself, and I understand you want. It's all about the college kids getting paid right now. Well,
absolutely.
You haven't done anything to get paid. Like, isn't the long-term goal essentially to get in the NFL and make your money? And you're going to go ahead and sit out your spring practices and to prove yourself to make that NIL money. And really? Like, you're never gonna bank if you don't start somewhere.
Okay,
so Gaskins, what? Can't fix stupid.
Gaskins.
We're missing the sign.
Okay. Here's my thing with this right now. It's a valid take from you, Ken. I'll give you that, right? But I don't think it's worthy of Muppet of the Week, and I'll tell you the reason why. Right, the NCAA are the second most corrupt sporting organization in the world, and they only trail FIFA by like this much, and I mean that wholeheartedly. They are a $1 billion industry, right, that has for years made money off the backs of 4, 5, 3-star recruits for all of these universities over the years. These universities get grants, they get funding, they get donations from major players and alumni due to the fact of things like football programs. Football programs can't be run by anything, and they can't be run if you don't have players. We're talking about a kid that's a 4-star recruit, was heavily recruited by FSU. I did my research after you dropped his name on in my inbox earlier on, and quite frankly, with the way that the NILs are structured now, these kids are expecting to earn a little bit of money. And I don't blame them. For years, kids like this have been taken advantage of. They've had injuries. They've had scholarships pulled after career-ending injuries with no system in place whatsoever to support these guys after life after football, and no education on top of that. Some kids have had their whole lives upturned through the fact that they've had a career-ending injury and been left by the wayside. There are countless stories of the NCAA doing absolutely bugger all. So taking a stand the way this kid's taking a stand, I actually applaud the kid. I really do, because quite frankly, these guys deserve to get some sort of monetary value out of their college careers. Aiden Hutchinson would have had a massive amount of money coming in from Michigan. Kenneth Walker III would have had a massive amount of money coming in from MSU this year had the NILs been in place this previous season. This kid is fighting for what he wants, and I don't blame him for it. So for me, he's not a muppet. I think he should be applauded, but that's just my take. Jason, you're shaking your head at me like I'm talking Hebrew to you.
I'm like, so to me, the NLI, like the money is basically the recruiting money, bag money is no longer hidden.
It's not. It's out. It's out there in the open. Yeah, exactly. So he's going for his chunk of change.
Hey, whatever the deal was, whatever he got to like get money to do it, like you saying you're not going to play, you're not yet at a point where it's like a job or career. So to me,
4-star recruit.
Yeah. If he got promised money, yes. But dude, he can transfer right now, and I'm sure someone will give him the money.
Yeah.
Qualifications. Here's my biggest problem in this, and again, Gaskins isn't here to appreciate this.
You can't fix stupid.
Well, no, but so guaranteed one of this kid's idols is going to be LeBum. Okay.
All right.
LeBum things.
Okay. All right. Flag on the play. I'm not having that. No. Jason, you've got yours quickly. Let's do it.
All right. My Muppet of the week is sadly and double topped because he's on my fantasy football team. So he's killing me. Is Mr. Calvin Ridley. He went while he was on his leave with the Atlanta Falcons. He made bets. His bets that they released were like $1,500, but realistically, more information's come out. He made $3,900 worth of bets, 6 bets, and several of them included the football team he was on, the Atlanta Falcons. So to me, I'm sorry, you're here like because you can't get your head in the game, can't play the football. I get it. Life has stuff bigger, but then you're betting on the game and you're betting on the team. So like you can't prove that there was some collusion or stuff, but like if you're taking point spreads, all that,
there's too many grey areas there where there can be a major accusations. But that's on there. That's worthy of Muppet of the Week. But I think I have one that wins it again this week because it's something I feel passionately about. It's Chris Ilitch. Chris Ilitch does not have an absolute iota of a clue and doesn't deserve to own a baseball franchise, right? This week, obviously, well, in the last 2 weeks, we've obviously found out he was one of 4 owners that took a hardline stance against any increase to the CBT and the CBA negotiations. Obviously, it failed because we got a deal in place and with increased CBTs. But it's since come out that there was a plus $300 million offer on the table for Carlos Correa that's been reported in various Detroit media news feeds this week that even Al Avila was okay with, as well as AJ Hinch, that Correa was seriously considering until it was nixed at the 11th hour by one Mr. Christopher Ilitch. Because, and I quote, he doesn't want another long-term high-dollar contract on the books. I'm sorry, you don't deserve to own a baseball franchise. If you're not willing to spend, you know what, screw it, swear jar. If you're not willing to spend fucking money to win a championship, you do not deserve to own a baseball franchise, and you sure as hell do not deserve to own the Detroit Tigers. It's as simple as that. Chris, do us all a freaking favor and sell the franchise. Go and spend money on the Red Wings. Go and sell your crappy pizzas, but please get out of the sport of freaking baseball. You do not deserve to own a franchise. He is my Muppet of the Week this week, and quite frankly, he deserves it. With the CBT stuff, with the Correa nixing of a contract that was being seriously considered, I'm sorry, but he has to win. Ridley, absolute joke. The NIL stuff, we don't know enough about NIL stuff to make a real determination on Muppets because, quite frankly, I think the kid's doing it. Ridley, yes, he is a Muppet in his own right, but he does not beat Ilitch this week. So where are you guys going?
I want to throw one more in there for Gaskins, and I'm a Gaskins homie.
You got 10 seconds.
All right, LeBum saying he would rather play without fans.
I knew you were going to throw that one in. Gaskins would have thrown that one in there. You know what? Screw it. Everybody, right, so I'll go with Ridley, I'll go with Illich, and I will go with LeBron James for that comment as well. All three of those this week win Muppet of the Week. I'm not giving the kid from FSU anything like that yet this weekend. I don't think we know enough about the situation, all right? Everybody okay with that? Thumbs up?
Fair enough.
Thumbs up. All right. Thanks very much for watching, guys. Please hit the like and subscribe, and for notifications on the next videos. We'll be back next week when hopefully Gaskins hasn't been eaten by a gator. And thanks very much for watching. Peace and out.